Geez, what day is it? I'm going to guess. It's Thursday, and I'm going to hope I got it right. Let's see. What are the great things that are going on here? Tonight, actually be working on a virtual job fair where we have vendors in each of the different breakout rooms. And if you are one of the people looking for a job, oh my goodness, too. By the way, I just got another message from somebody who I was going to meet today who got laid off. So all you people who got laid off, right? This is just a shout out to each of you who are now searching for jobs, wishing you the best of luck in all that you do. So there's a job fair tonight with a number of companies from Oregon. So if you're interested in that, you can DM me. It's going to be tonight, 6 to 8 p.m. for those who are doing that. So cool things that are still happening here in virtual. And speaking of cool things, I got a chance to meet this gentleman here in Speaker's Playhouse, where we got a chance to meet a little bit, find out that he has some passion around wheels and motorcycles, as well as, I believe, in leadership and coaching. Let's bring in the one and only AC Wiley. Hello, AC. How you doing?
I'm doing fairly well, fairly middling anyway.
I think AC now might have a PhD in not sarcasm. What do you call that? Humility? No, there's another
Uh,
name for it.
but you're saying, hey, it's Thursday. I always have trouble getting a hang of Thursdays, but you're up in Washington, and I just have to say to my brothers in Washington, Colorado, North Carolina, and so many other states, happy 420. It's April 20th for whatever that means to you. I believe it's National Dorito and Taco Bell Day. Um, that may have something to do with that. Either way, do with that what you will.
PhD in self-deprecation. Is that right? Maybe that's close.
And I can live with that.
I love it too. Thank you so much, AC, for joining me. And for those who don't know, yeah, check out Speaker's Playhouse. This is a place where a lot of amazing speakers, leaders, people who are on virtual meet, and so it is a great place to do some networking. For those who always said that networking is terrible on virtual, people got to get out and figure it out, right? It's just like I think I've made some of the best and most interesting connections on virtual. And with that, AC, why don't you just help us out a little bit? All right. Most of my friends don't know you. So AC, who are you and what do you do?
Well, I am AC Wiley. I am a recently retired military guy. I am also an executive coach with Kite and Key Solutions. I'm a martial arts instructor for the International Karate Connection Association. I am an ordained minister and an amateur magician. And I'm working on being a speaker on as many stages as possible. An author, and most importantly, husband to an absolutely amazing woman and father to two great kids, and a spoiled dog around here somewhere.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Well, what's the pet's name, if I could ask?
So we've got Artemis, which is our dog, and Apollo, which is my cat.
Is this like a rocket space theme that's going on?
More similar base. All of our pets, since wife and I got married, have been named after Greek mythological characters.
Oh, wow. Okay. Do you mind asking, if I can ask, how the two of you met? Because it's really interesting.
We met in college. She was a health PE business side major. I was a broadcast journalism major, and I spent several years trying to pursue her and get her to initiate some degree of relationship with me. However, apparently, according to her, I was too cavalier in my relationships for her to be able to support that. And so we were just friends for a long time. I finally gave up, and by giving up, I actually won. And I've continued winning ever since. So I'm very blessed with that.
Say more. What do you mean by giving up? I'm not sure if I'm clear. I want to make sure that.
Well, when we finally got to the point that okay, I'll go out on a date with you, and we would kind of go apart and back together, and then she had a history with some of her previous boyfriends that basically left her very, very untrusting of some folks, and she didn't know if she could actually trust me, particularly with the aforementioned cavalier nature of my romantic entanglements prior to that. And
You sure you're not a lawyer?
well, my mom called me a whore, so I figured I would probably use better language. Uh, it's a fact. But
There you go.
the basically at finally was able to get her to agree to go out with me, and then at one point in time she got some messages from a boyfriend that she was still kind of hung up over, and I'm like, you know what, I took her to him. I handed her over and said, don't screw this up, boss, and walked away. And then a couple hours later, I just happened to call her to see how it went. And from that point on, yeah, we ended up being in a good dating relationship. We graduated college. I went down to Alabama for flight school with the Army, and I was absolutely certain that my disappearance was going to have her leave. Apparently, I was wrong. And then I eventually proposed. And I figured throughout my deployment, since it was the Army, I was going to end up having an ex-wife after a little while. And strike two. And then at some point in time, I ended up getting really, really sick, and she had the opportunity to kill me. And she didn't. So I've been wrong 3 times on this one. I'm just going to enjoy the ride from here on in.
Well, if you're a cat, you have 6 lives left.
Well, if we did the math, I've got several more that I've already expended.
Well, I love this part, right? Because first off, I just want to check. Where did you concoct this strategy? I mean, you may not know, right? Did it come to you, or like this giveaway thing? Like, is that just what happened in the moment?
The fact is, for the first time in all of the relationships that I had from late high school all the way through college,
yeah,
I finally cared more about somebody else's happiness than my own, and I wanted her to be happy. I gave her back over because that seemed to be, what was in her mind. It's what she wanted, or what I thought she might have wanted. And I wanted her to have what she wanted.
Yeah. Wow. That's a great story. Because isn't it that I don't know if you find this too, but in the ability to do things that when you really, really want something, that quite often, that if you find a way to let the whole thing go, that it'll come back. So here's an example that I had. One was that I had a backpack that I was looking for that I thought was lost, right? And you start and do that struggle part, which is like, where did I leave it? Like, you go backtrack. And then at some point I just stopped and just said, if this backpack is meant to be with me, it will come back to me. And then just let the whole thing go. And then mysteriously it showed up, right?
I found very similarly, except different method. Instead of letting go of it, I just bought another one. So I have 2 of a lot of things. Because the minute that you buy the thing to replace the thing you lost, you find it. It's just a much more expensive and cluttered way of solving it.
Give me an example of something you bought. I just kind of like a wrench, like a simple thing.
I'm trying to think. So I had a ring. And it was a little thing, but it was a ring that I was particularly fond of.
Okay.
I'm not wearing it right now. It's downstairs. But it had some runes on it and a depiction of the tree of life and things, and I really liked it. And for whatever reason, I thought that I had lost it. Well, I did lose it because I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And eventually ordered another one. My wife's reminding me that I bought the first one and she bought me the Christmas one as a replacement. And upon getting the Christmas one, I had some issue with my Jeep that I had taken a seat out. Turns out it fell out of one of my pockets or something and ended up underneath the seat. So I found it.
Oh.
So that was I didn't buy that one, but I was going to, and she did.
Okay, well, interesting. So thank you so much for sharing that story. I think it's fascinating with that. I don't know if you're watching. Have you watched the Netflix series Love Is Blind yet?
I have not.
Oh yeah. So what's great right now is actually watch it if you are in a relationship, because you spend half of the time in the show yelling at the other people who aren't in relationships, and it's very fun. right? Going, oh, I would never say that. That's what like me and my girlfriend Curly are talking about things inside of the show. Um, when did you create Wiley Leadership Solutions, and what led you to create Wiley Leadership Solutions? I'm curious.
Um, so it started out, I wanted to have an LLC for teaching my martial arts. So I stood up when I was in South Carolina, stationed there with the Army. I stood up what I called Stone Dragon Martial Arts. It's still a thing. I'm still teaching under that banner, but I was adapting my instructional approach more towards a leadership kind of mindset. Still including martial arts, but more leadership focused. Um, as I continued working on my PhD, and then decided I was going to go join the John Maxwell team and become a certified coach, trainer, and speaker with them.
Yeah.
I figured, oh, I need something else to do, and trying to market it under a martial arts thing didn't seem to sit terribly well. And I moved to Georgia, so I would have needed to re-register it anyway. So I closed out that LLC, still kept the name, and I'm still teaching under it, and opened up Hearth and Dagger Enterprises because so under a different LLC, because wanted to have a bit broader and a little bit more generalized. And that was probably back in 2021. And after talking to somebody for a bit that I was offering some teaching opportunities for it to go speak at her school. I was going to talk to the staff of the school. She's like, yeah, but you're going to have to do something about that name because people will see that and they don't really know what it means. So I figured I'd be a little bit more specific in my next LLC name. So we renamed it Wiley Leadership Solutions. So that's, it's me and their leadership solutions. I solve problems. I try to work with people to make that happen. And I really like the fact that the W that's in that both looks like like two people. My leadership approach is 100% based on relationships. So it can't be singular. And it kind of looks like the dude from the Pringles can.
Oh, wait.
As a reminder on 420, it looks like the dude from the Pringles can.
Wait,
So
I'm just going to give you back the screen, right? Look at it. For those who can Pringle ties with us, check it out. There you go. I was just going to give you this too, which is like, you can actually, you're kind of brand borrowing too from these kids here from 1807, right? Because this is not you. This is John Wiley and
Sons. John Wiley and Sons. I've ended up having to be subscribed to a lot of their various publication things working through school. So like I'm not saying I'm related, but I've done ancestry.com and there are some John Wiley that had some sons in my line. However, we probably pissed them off at some point in time and therefore got no longer part of the family.
That's a whole nother episode. We'll go on to that.
I'm sure.
All right. So, AC, what have you done now? I mean, how much virtual did you do pre-pandemic, and or did you make the jump with like the majority of people in March of 2020? Just curious.
So in the Army for 22 years, in order to save money, probably 10 years ago, the DoD started basically advocating for folks to, if you don't have to travel to go to a meeting, if you can do it by VTC, video teleconference, then do that. And we had to start justifying why we couldn't do it by video teleconference.
10 years ago, that's great.
So been doing video teleconferences for a long time, and then just started going, ooh, we could do that on Zoom too. And the technology has just gotten so much better since COVID.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing about the earlier days of it is we always recognize face-to-face is best. Being in the room is best. Face-to-face is next. And you learn what your face does even under mute, because people still can tell your response to them saying stupid things.
Yeah. Well, assuming you have your camera on, right? Because there are a lot of scenarios where people are flying blind, but learning to read body language on virtual is still valuable. I think it's even more valuable in virtual because the camera is mainly centered around here. So, you're missing the other pieces around it. And so I think that's an important part. And I think coaches who know how to read that type of body language, right, gain a huge advantage because you can always see the unsaid sentence, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I don't know if AC, if you have an example of that.
I actually do. I was having a conversation between the CEO of Kite and Key and one of our coaching clients, and we were talking about the results of one of his personality exams. And as we're reading through it, I'm watching him. The CEO was actually talking him through. Hey, here's this to this to this. Here's the Myers Briggs, and he's the expert. I'm a disc guy, but he was talking through that, and as I'm watching, yeah, I'm taking those notes, going, hey, because he was like, yeah, there was not that animated, but there was some visual differences. Like, aha, and I mentioned, hey, keep your camera on. I'm kind of watching, and that, of course, I had that end up when you know that you're being watched, you do things differently. So that's that was for me. Don't do that again. Just go, hey, I would like to keep your camera on because I want to maintain a personal connection instead of I'm watching every move you make so that I can interpret it through neuro linguistic programming.
Yes, of which I had some training on myself. So the key there too is what a lot of people don't understand too. Like some of the new body language instructors are around baselining, right? So AC,
Yeah.
have you heard of baselining then?
I'm as I'm just getting into the specifics, starting to get into NLP kind
Yeah.
of concepts. That's actually something I was reviewing yesterday. I can't say I know a lot about it, but yeah.
And baselining goes like this, which is some people go like this, like, what's this body language mean? Right?
Typically we say it's means closed off, or they're uptight, they're wanting to be proved about something.
Right. But in baselining, this just means, I don't know, maybe they like their arms rested. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they're just cold, right? You
Right.
don't know because you're not in their environment. But if AC says something about like virtual sucks, right? Or something like that, and I make some change, like uncross my arm. That's what baselining says. Watch for the changes, right? And then investigate because you don't know what the change means, but it does signal there was a change.
All right.
And so that's really one of the keys. So like again, in your case where a CEO is doing something or another, and then they start doing some other expression, right? Right, whatever that was. That's the key because you want to say whatever that topic was, you want to like make a mark on that and then try and figure out how to investigate a little bit more. So you can do it like, say questioning, saying, when I said fill in the blank, what were you feeling? What were you experiencing? So those are some of the things that go around like that in baselining.
All
Anyway,
right.
fun stuff. So
Yeah.
uh, so the majority of your is what, training and one-on-one coaching? Is that the key for Wiley Leadership
Yep.
Solutions?
The training, coaching, and speaking. And I'm using my LLC as the catch-all for other things that I want to do. It's kind of my research and development aspect, whereas most of my other stuff is going to be coming through Kite and Key, which is really where I'm going to be doing a lot of my coaching and a good bit of my training.
Mhm.
And I just started yesterday. I just signed my W-4, my paperwork for Aiken Technical College as one of their adjunct instructors for continuing education.
Congratulations.
And I'll be doing a similar function with them with a different set of audiences. So that's, but so I'm going to be broad base. The intent really is that primarily as a speaker, coaching will support speaking, author writing books will support the speaking, and the training will support the speaking.
Yep.
But ultimately, I've never felt more alive than when I'm on a stage talking to people about something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah. And where did that stage presence come from? Like, when did you figure out that you want to be a speaker?
Oh, um, probably high school, maybe even before that. But I was in drama in high school, had a fantastic drama coach, kind of raised as part of the family for a while, enjoyed that tremendously. Also loved music. In fact, I was in choir, I was in band, and I was so good at singing that my choir director made me the MC. Um, because I was apparently much more effective with the spoken word than I was with intonation, and
Oh, I see.
and all about the leadership thing. I was in the drum line, and I was so good at that. He put me as the drum major up front, where I wasn't actually making any noise. So that was beneficial as
Talking about
well.
drum major, like with the stick, kind of the person. Yeah, you're
Yep.
that guy.
That guy. But it was I actually attribute that as part of my history as it relates to leadership and teaching leadership, learning leadership.
That's a key piece, right? Inside of that, when people recognize this opportunity with you. Oh, I want to go back to MC, right? Because
All right.
I feel very strongly about MCs, right? And that MCs right now too. I think one of the biggest missed opportunities, especially in hybrid meetings, but most virtual meetings too, don't have a virtual MC.
Hmm.
Right, and a virtual MC is kind of different. Like it has a lot of the same qualities as an in-person VC of MC, but some of the things are different. So I'm just curious for you, what's most important for you in an MC, right? What does an MC have to have that can really that makes them stand out versus like a not great, not so great MC?
Um, a good MC, in my opinion, has not just presence and confidence to be able to address whatever it is that they're introducing and talking through, but needs to have the ability to immediately connect with the entire audience and then maintain that and the energy throughout the entire experience. From ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The ceremony is about to begin in 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, sit your ass down. We're about to start.
You have AC, but you can gain enough connection with an audience in a short amount of time that you could actually use swear words and probably not get fired for it. In most situations. In most situations.
So the thing is, I'd mentioned about my virtual time and being with the military. That was one of the things that a lot of my bosses, anytime it came time for me to speak in a meeting to our higher level headquarters, they would be sitting on the side going, "Oh God, what's he gonna say? What's he gonna say?"
Yeah, you're
and you
could,
you could like, and they'd be like, "Oh, good. No, we agree, sir." Yeah, yeah. They were just, I could see them just rolling through their head going, "How do I damage control this? How do I damage control this? How do I damage control this?"
But then you gain their trust, right? You gain their trust by not saying the word that they think you're going to say.
And I have learned through many iterations and lots of great coaching from some amazing people that there is sometimes that it's appropriate, sometimes that it's acceptable, and sometimes that it actually is counter to to that connection. I wouldn't use the same kind of language from talking to a faith-based community.
Sure.
Because that's just disrespectful.
Yeah. And so that's part of being an MC too, right? Is researching your audience, right? Especially the people you're going to introduce, like getting their name right. But, to me, what I do is I collect like a lot of other facts. And like most of the 80% of what I read about them, I'm not going to use. But the fact that I have it in my card file,
right,
my mental card file for them, means that I could use it at any time. And I always look for something that's different. Like one of them was searching through their LinkedIn about what college they went to. And it's amazing too, because like college is such a connection, right? If you say like a somewhat famous college, Notre Dame or something like that, all the people that are from there are like, raw, like, oh, I didn't know that. And so I think that that's another way to draw a connection. Not only are you creating an immediate connection from you as the MC, but often as the MC, you're trying to make a connection from that audience to the other people in the program.
And I think what that does, that shows that you care. It shows that you actually want to do it, other than reading. So today we have Dave Smith, who is the Provost Marshal of United. Really? What's this? Yeah, we've all sat through so many of those, and by the time you get to the second, everybody's lost, and they're just waiting for the waiting to leave.
Yeah, that was a great example, AC. All right, AC here too. So you've been in a lot of virtual meetings, and I think I'm assuming that you are giving some number of talks and or coaching through virtual. I'd love to hear what has to happen, right, for a virtual meeting to be engaging for AC as an attendee.
So for me, it's almost the exact same thing as for an in-person meeting to be engaging.
Yay.
Yeah, one, people have to come to it prepared, and people have to be brought into the meeting. People have to go, yeah, I've got 10 people in the room. If I'm talking, if I'm running the meeting, I need to engage all 10 of them and go, hey, John, so what did you think about that? Hey, Bill, haven't heard from you yet, and I'm really interested in your take on this. And you have to engage. And if you have so many people that it's not feasible to do that one-on-one, there's techniques for that I'm learning just by being like in Speakers Playhouse and various things, almost forcing the issue by, hey, if you're this, self-identify by putting in the chat this thing. And if you're involved with it, you're more likely to pay attention. And their energy is, by the way, causes me PTSD every single time I sit in there, but I'm addicted to it. Believe it or not, I'm an introvert.
What?
I am a outgoing introvert. If you look at my Myers-Briggs, I'm like right on the line. But fact is, even after a day of interacting with a bunch of people I really, really, really like, I need quiet I need to shut everything out and be able to just recharge for a bit.
Yeah, have you heard the term ambivert?
I have not.
Oh, okay. Look up ambivert because that's you, right? Well, that might be you. Which is ambiverts are people who can be extroverted, and after being extroverted, right, they need that alone time or that recharge time, right? So extroverts can actually go from that event and then go to another event.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're one of those, then you look up ambivert, and maybe that might describe who you are.
But one of the things my wife and I have done a lot, we've used to throw a lot of theme parties for our friends. We turned the entire house into a speakeasy. I built fake walls. We turned the place into a casino in the back room, stuff like that.
Yeah. Great.
And whenever we do that, it is a full up production. And that is our life, and catering to people and connecting with people throughout the entire event.
Yeah.
By the time it's done the next morning, we're just completely drained for a day and a half, 2 days before we even start taking anything down. We're like, but we enjoy it so much.
Because the connection is the highest thing, even with all the energy, even because otherwise, if you didn't really enjoy it, especially while it was happening,
yeah,
you would stop doing it because it takes a lot of work, right? There's not everybody who will host a party like that.
It's a lot of work for our parties were so well known when we were in South Carolina. One of our friends, it was a Halloween party, or two of our friends actually, because mathematically wanted to get married at our party.
Oh,
and being an ordained minister, yeah, it was my house and my party, so I performed their wedding, and that was a surprise to everyone who was coming, but it fit so well into our narrative of what was going on that we just made that an event for the party. And people until they saw on Facebook that they were actually married, people thought, oh, that was just part of the show. No, they actually married, and still married, by the way. So,
oh wow, well, good for you. One of the key pieces we look at here too. I'm going to share this with AC in a little bit. Watch my social media. I've got a brand new report on digital experiences, right? And in the end, right, AC, you could just have a dinner party, or you can have an experience, right? And that's how AC is now well known, and right, his family's well known because they create experiences as opposed to just a thing, and like a transactional thing. And so I'm just curious, in your lifetime, AC, what are some of the what's one of the top experiences that maybe you remember or influenced you? So here, I'll give you an example. Actually, so talking on the NLP side, I did a lot of Tony Robbins programs, and I will say one thing, right? In Tony Robbins programs, he's done things that most other people have not done, and they're amazing, Like one of them is like the jackpot theory. Have you ever heard about the jackpot theory?
Nope, but I'm listening.
The jackpot theory says like, we give rewards to people if we want them to do something. But the jackpot theory says, and yeah, I think you got this from the military, it says if you give a disproportionate award to something, people become like fans, right? Rabid fans of something. And so what he does is that you get ping pong balls in an event that's like 1,000 people, and when the energy is high enough, he asks people can start shouting like bring out the wheel. And so when he brings out the wheel, he will pull a ping pong ball and give a prize, and the prize will be something like a brand new Harley Davidson. Right? It's like a vacation in a foreign island. So it's disproportionate. And like what happens is the crowd brings a level of energy that is way beyond you would normally get somewhere, because he only does this when the energy is high in the room. So
Right.
that's an example of a disproportionate award. But anyways, that's something that I remember from experiences that I look to use when I can. So I don't know if you have an experience like that is defining for
The
you.
Absolutely. The International Maxwell Conference
Oh,
for
geez. I've never been, but I can only imagine.
it was, I went into that not knowing what to expect, not having been to one. I had heard it pumped up a lot. It is the certifying event, if you remember the John Maxwell team. And I'm not going to lie one bit. I didn't know a single thing different coming out of there than I didn't already know coming in. I didn't really learn anything particularly new except for one thing. I wanted to do that for the rest of my life. It was the and that's probably the most important thing. From the very beginning, walked in, went downstairs to a first thing. People are standing, and this was right after COVID. Got people at the bottom of the escalators giving hugs with a giant welcome home sign. And it wasn't just a pat pat and walk away. It was a legitimate, loving hug and go, hey, glad to have you here. Where are you from? And then every single room I was in, every single table I sat at was nothing but people who wanted you to succeed as much or more than they wanted themselves to succeed. And every single time we'd have a big, I would call it a plenary session, but yeah, everybody in the room.
Yeah.
It would start with just blasting music and dancing and screaming and yelling and just that kind of energy, to the point that I actually had to texted a bunch of my friends that I met there, like, hey, what songs did we have? Because I now have a playlist of all the songs I could remember when I'm needing to feel that, and I still have it. But it was, that was where I started questioning whether I actually was an introvert, because I deal with all those people and I'd be tired, but I'd wake up energized the next morning and I want more of it. Turns out maybe I'm not just an introvert, maybe I'm not actually an introvert. Maybe I've just been surrounded by assholes my whole life. And and that makes a big difference when you're surrounded by awesome people. Yeah.
This is a good note, right, for people who are listening to this, right? If you're having a bad time, go around, look around your network, right? If you're around a bunch of jerks and you're wondering why you're depressed, change your friends, change your life.
Hashtag facts.
Hashtag real talk. Holy cow.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's really a key. Thank you for sharing that. I have never been, I mean, I know a lot of John Maxwell speakers. I know some people that have shared the stage, and they do an amazing speaker program, but I've never heard the inside of the conference. So I appreciate that. AC, you like to look at the future, I'm sure. What do you think the future of virtual is? That's what I'm curious. There's so many other things that are happening now, right? Obviously, AI is on the horizon. There's a lot of other things. Where do you think virtual is going to go?
And I think sci-fi tells us that, and it's going to be holograms. It's going to be holographs. It's going to be 3D virtual projections of people from all over the place. Obviously, not being able to physically interact, but so much more than just the face, just the background screen. Actual holograms, maybe coming from a phone, maybe not. But I think that's going to be the next piece. And yeah. And there's other things that we can't even imagine that's going to happen, because you always have to have things physically. I think print on demand,
Yep.
in conjunction with these hologram meetings, is
Mhm.
going to be so much more. Hey, we need to have this stuff. Yeah, have it in place. Well, sync, and you can print from just and about any location, any conference, and it's not just printing off of 8.5 by 11. It's actually full production, right then and there. Snap it out as it goes.
And of course that you said the feeling part, right? Watch haptics, right? Haptics is the science of us feeling things. And so there are already haptic based suits where, if it gets good enough, right, we can be fooled into that something or someone is there. So I think
Ready Player One.
yeah, right. Oh, right. Ready Player One is that was obviously a landmark movie, and you're right. Sci-fi got a lot of stuff right. The Jetson memes that are out right now are very funny, saying the Jetsons got it right. Right? We're spending our life video conferencing, and
There's just so much actually that was inspired by Star Trek and Star Wars that we now have,
yeah,
because somebody said, "Hey, we're going to be able to do this in the future." No, we're never going to be able. You know what? Well, what if we could? And that's all that we needed. The last Jetsons meme I saw actually was a acknowledgement that George Jetson and his wife were like 4 years difference. He was 22 when she was pregnant, which made her he was like 20 or 22, which made her like 16 or 17. It was more than 4 years. But it's like, well, let's not go there. Let's not dig that deep. Otherwise, we're going to ruin it.
I thought you were going to talk about George Jetson's birthday. There's all this social media from. I'm on a list that's government social media, and they photoshopped George Jetson's head on like a baby photo. It was really cute. That was very funny. Uh, Oh, and he's a sound impressionist too. I was gonna say, if you have Apple Watch or any of the other watches too, putting Shazam on your watch. There's a button now you can change in the corner, and so your watch will listen, and then it says add to playlist. So I have a friend who has a Spotify Shazam playlist, and it's as she hears music in the world, right? Like in the lobby of something, she can say, "Listen, I want this on my playlist." And so this playlist is gathered from stuff she was inspired by listening to the world. So
Nice. I have to admit I've paid way too much money for my Apple, the songs that I bought on Apple. So I use that instead of Spotify. But my son uses the heck out of Spotify.
yep. So well, Shazam will add. I think it adds to any list. Shazam is separate. So
All right.
that leads us there. As we close this out, AC, people might be listening. If you want them to remember one thing from this interview, what's the one thing you want people to remember from this interview?
It's not about them. Whenever if you're in a leadership position, if you're in a relationship, if you are trying to help other people, it's not about you. It is about other people. Life isn't about you. And if enough people believe that life isn't about you, or isn't about them, suddenly it becomes a whole lot more rich because everybody's taking care of everybody else. I've been part of multiple organizations that claim to have brotherhood, claim to be family. Brotherhood, family can't exist in an organization. Organizations are just a setting for these things to be built, but it's a place that you can have the conditions of person A and person B, and person A and person C, person A, B, and C. And then as you start building that network becomes that brotherhood, that family. And that's what people associate with it. But it's only ever between two people, and it's never about you.
There you go. It's never about you, but it might be about your 5 closest friends.
Yep.
And if it's not about your 5 closest friends, the best part is what AC said at the beginning of this. It's about caring about somebody else. It's about helping somebody else about what they want. And Wiley, if that's what you're teaching in your leadership school, well, as you can probably tell, we need more of that. And it would be great if we had a larger world that thought that way. Thanks so much, Wiley. We gave a bunch of links about where to find AC. AC, any other closing words from you today?
If you would like to talk to either me or any of the folks on my Kite and Key team, the link is down there, www.kiteandkeysolutions.com. And just take care of each other. I wish It's just that. Treat people better. We can all do better.
Treat people better. We can all do better. AC, thank you so much for your time today.
I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, we've been talking here on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast with AC Wiley. By the way, make sure and hit subscribe, join, connect, or whatever it is here, and watch for engagingvirtualmeetings.online. The Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast is now actually becoming a true podcast that you can subscribe to, re-releasing episodes every Wednesday. Thanks again. Think about that. How can you be a better person? I hope this inspired you to do so. We'll hopefully see you next time here on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. See you next time.
Don't we start people and keep whole people. Show you got heart.